Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Bundesliga show brought to you by Over the Bar. We are checking in this evening for our first prediction show of the season. One of our flagship shows is ready to rock. Really looking forward to getting stuck into this. The season is upon us. We are kickstarting tomorrow. Can't wait to get started with the Friday night game, obviously, which is going to be the champions Leverkusen going to Borussia Park and facing up against Gladbach. So Mark, how are you doing first of all? Looking forward to this weekend?
Yeah, definitely. The wait's almost upon us, isn't it? It's almost over. And the last weekend was a nice kind of curtain raiser, but this is when the real stuff starts, really, doesn't it? So can't wait for it. And this is the one game of the season where all 18 sets of fans are feeling positive. So I always like this stage of the season because it's literally the only time in the whole year when this will happen. So it's always a great occasion and can't wait for it to unfold, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just before we get stuck into it, already some predictions coming in from BVB David. Hope you're doing well, and I'm sure you're looking forward to the start of the season and what a new look Dortmund side are going to be doing this time around. Before we do, of course, just a few quick shout outs. So make sure, first of all, you're liking the show, you're commenting along like David already has done. Make sure you all get involved, share your thoughts, feelings ahead of the season and how you think match week 1 is going to go. Subscribe and turn on notifications to make sure you don't miss out. Shout out to one of our partners, Bundesliga Boxes, the fantastic Bundesliga Boxes, obviously who Mark has met up very recently with Rich, the guy who runs it all and is a fantastic, partner for us to work with. So a couple of things to note at the moment that we're doing with them. We're doing a giveaway, as we probably mentioned a number of times, but it's still running on our X page. So it's the pinned tweet. So get over there, get yourself a chance of winning a Bundesliga box from batch 43. And we've also got the secret link, don't we, Mark? The secret link to get you early access to batch 43 as well. So many great things that you can watch out for there. So make sure you get that link. It should be in the description. And then, you can get yourself early access to a lovely box for the start of the season. Let's crack on then, Mark. So as it's the first prediction show of the season, we're both going to offer our opinions on all the games, and we'll do it in good timing. Of course, we did a bit of a different thing this season. We teased 3 predictions on social media, so you should already know our opinions on 3 of the games that we've kind of highlighted. And we'll start off with the first one, Mark, which is the curtain raiser. It's Friday night, tomorrow night. The champions are in town. They're in Gladbach. We've both gone for 3-1, so we can pop that on the screen straight away. I think we're pretty safe in the reasoning as to why as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the champions, 34 games unbeaten back to May 2023. I think overall, 34 in the league, 6 in the cup, and then 1 in the Super Cup as well. So basically it's 41 unbeaten domestically in German football. So, they're still potentially going to go the whole of 2024 unbeaten in German football. So, I mean, that would be one hell of a feat. I think in this game, it's not going to be an easy curtain raiser for them. I think Gladbach, they do have a little bit of quality under Gerardo Seoane. A few people will be surprised to see him still in the managerial box after a very, very disappointing, underwhelming season last year. But obviously, he is the former Leverkusen coach as well. So he would like to get one back on his old boys. But based on what I saw last week, I didn't feel as though there was any drop-off at all from Leverkusen, really, despite playing with 10 men against what, for me, at the minute, is probably the second best team in the Bundesliga as things stand, Stuttgart. And it was a very high-quality game. I felt as though Leverkusen were excellent in the match and, scored 2. Both teams could have scored another couple in that match. It was that good, to be honest. And I just feel as though, like Boniface looks back to his best after a pretty slow end to last season, I felt. I just feel as though the new signings as well. Will we see Garcia start in this game? Will Andrick come back in? Whatever happens, it's going to be a strong team out there, and I feel as though they will win the curtain raiser quite comfortably for me.
Yeah, completely agree, and that's why we've both agreed in what we said, and we've both gone 3-1. So on we march to Saturday's action, and we've got RB Leipzig hosting VfL Bochum, who of course we've talked a lot about, and obviously I certainly gave them a lot of not stick, but a lot of pessimism around the away side and their chances this season. The club lost a lot of players through players leaving on contracts ending, a lot of key players as well, and as much as they've made some good signings in the summer and a couple of good loan signings, which may give them hope. But for this opener, I don't give them hope. Me personally, I'm going for just flip the result around to what's above. So I'm saying, tell you what, I'm not even giving them a goal. I'm saying 3-0 Leipzig, Mark. What about you?
Yeah, we match up, actually. I thought you were going to go for the 3-1 there, but I just feel as though this time last year in this fixture, Leipzig-Bochum, it was the famous game when Leipzig missed 2 penalties in that match and drew 0-0. But I just feel as though something's brewing at Leipzig. I'm quite optimistic for them this season. I thought they were good last week against Essen. I feel as though for the first time in many, many years, they've got a settled squad. And even though Olmo left, he didn't really play that much last season due to injury. So I don't feel as though that's going to be as much of a loss as what people are kind of predicting. I just feel as though they got way too much. The fact they got Javi Simmons back on loan, I mean, I didn't see that one coming at all, to be honest. That's a massive coup for them. And I just feel as though Openda and Šeško he's going to have one hell of a season, the big man is, I think. And I just can't see Bochum having anywhere near enough to compete with the home side here.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one of our Saturday games. Moving on to, the first of our newly promoted sides, Mark. And obviously myself and Peter had good fun doing a bit of a preview on Holstein, Kiel and St. Pauli just the other week. And, really interesting to learn more about them, and we'll learn more about the squad and how they're going to play in the weeks to come. And so they're off to Sinsheim and going to Hoffenheim to play against Pellegrino Matarazzo's men, who are very, very active in the market, but they've had some disappointments in terms of players that they haven't been able to get through the door. Question marks in the centre-back area, of course, which are yet to be answered. So I think that does give Kiel a bit of hope for the match, but still going forwards, even without Borussia, if they can get Hlozek into the team with Kramaric and Budler up top, feels to me that they'll have enough quality. Missing Bebu's a bit of a blow, but that can easily be replaced for me. So I'm feeling a 3-1 home win for Hoffenheim. I don't think Kiel will get off to a winning start, I'm afraid.
Yeah, this is one that caused me a lot of problems, actually, to be honest, because Hoffenheim just don't seem prepared going into this game. I mean, myself and Peter mentioned it, that the performance against Würzburg in the Cup was reminiscent of a Regionalliga team at times. I mean, defensively, they were bad, like really, really bad. And from what I can see, they're playing Stach as a centre half. And I think Kiel, I mean, I've tipped Kiel to stay up, you've got to remember. So I've got to go for them to get something from this kind of game, really. I feel as though Hoffenheim will make signings and they'll be fine before the end of the season. But until they get defensive reinforcements in, I'm not sure whether Bauman's going to start. And with all due respect to young Philip last week, he was nowhere near the grade, basically, to start for a team like Hoffenheim. And I actually see Kiel getting a goal or two here. I think, with the kind of the buoyant feeling from getting promoted, and also the fact that, Hoffenheim just don't seem prepared. But I do like the look of the Hoffenheim attack, so I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw here, actually.
2-2 draw, okay. Yeah, that's an interesting prediction. I would stick to my 3-1.
We'll put yours for this one then.
We'll pop in 3-1 for now. And obviously we can come back to it, and you can lord over it if the 2-2 does come to pass. But Yeah, Hoffenheim are missing a few players as well through injury for sure. Moving on, some more Saturday afternoon games. We've already done this game in terms of we predicted it as one that we did for one of our 3 early ones. So again, we matched up exactly here, Mark, and we said 2-1 to the away side. And so, yeah, I mean, reasonings for me, Stuttgart, you guys talked about them last week about, reaction to the Super Cup. Stuttgart still look like a really good team, and that's great to say as a VfB follower. And Freiburg, fresh start, without Christian Streich, missing a few players for injury as well. I think it makes it really tough, and therefore I think that's why Stuttgart will get the win. I think they're a better quality team anyway. But with those injuries as well, it certainly doesn't help. But I think Freiburg going forward will definitely keep Stuttgart on their toes because I favour Freiburg's attack versus their defence. And same for Stuttgart at the moment because there's no Zagadou, there's no Wagnerman yet, and there's doubts over whether Rouault will be fit as well. So still a few doubts in Stuttgart's back line, but I think they'll get over the line. Do you pretty much line up with that, Mark, for 2-1?
Yeah, I do. I actually think it could be heavier scoreline because I was really impressed with Stuttgart last week. Like, I know the VfB fans were disappointed they didn't get over the line, but for me, it was more a case of Leverkusen just being ridiculously good once they made the subs rather than VfB falling apart. I thought both sides looked excellent, and I think Stuttgart barely looked weaker. And I know it might sound like a curse at the minute, but they barely looked any weaker at all in that performance. And the fact that they got Undab, like similar to RB getting Javi Simmons, I feel as though the Undab coup was massive. I really thought that Brighton would try and keep him for a year, but I mean, he fits that team brilliantly. He loves playing there. And Demirovic, it wasn't a perfect debut, but I thought he looked good. Like he got chances and he could fit well into that team. And the defense was relatively solid until the last 10 minutes or so. And I just feel as though Stuttgart have got to win this one, despite Freiburg's good record in this fixture. Let's not forget that. I think there was a period when they won 4 back-to-back against the VfB, but I do feel as though, despite Julian Schuster, welcome to the Bundesliga, by the way, for the young coach who obviously replaced Christian Streich, but I feel as though he will kick off this Baden-Württemberg derby with a defeat, unfortunately.
Indeed. Okay, next game, Augsburg, Werder, Bremen. I think is one that's given me the most headaches for the last few days in terms of being able to predict this one. Both sides, I don't think we were really sure about what to expect this season in terms of their obviously their overall performance. I think we ended up pinning Augsburg a little bit lower than Bremen in the table, in our predicted table that was. Obviously, both sides, getting through their first encounters in the Pokal. Augsburg have made a few signings, of course. They brought in a striker to replace Demirovic in the shape of Asende. He did well on debut, so that's encouraging for them. And obviously for Jess Thorup, it's about how far he can take Augsburg based on the improvements that they made last season, but ultimately, again, kind of dropped off at the end of the season. Werder kind of did the opposite. They picked up towards the end of the season. Only Werner's men, looked really strong in the end. So yeah, I'm really struggling to call this one. So I'm going to do a typical sit on the fence, I reckon. So I will go for a 1-1 draw, I reckon. Mark, what are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm with you that it's a very, very hard one to predict this. Let's not forget that this time last year, Augsburg kicked off with a 4-4 draw against Gladbach as well, which in a crazy match where they were 3-1 down, then 4-3 up. So I think there will be goals in this one. But at the same time, Werder did win very, very handily at Augsburg at the back end of last season. So that one kind of swayed me a little bit. Augsburg, I do feel as though they're weaker this year without Demirovic and Mbabu. I really do. But they have done some good business. They managed to get Jakic on a permanent. I feel as though that's good work. But Bremen, I mean, I guess it's top, isn't it? That's the one we're going to be looking for. Oliver Top, like Werder do have a good record of bringing players through, and I feel as though he's one to watch with a hat trick last week against Osnabrück, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
So they are going to have a chance in this game. And I'm actually, even though I favour Augsburg as a club, I'm going to go for Werder to just nick a 2-1 away win here for me. I just feel as though they finished the season better last year and they're in quite good confidence going into this one.
Yeah, I can agree with that. We'll pop in 2-1 then. We'll go with your prediction, shall we? For that one, right. Last of the afternoon games is Mainz Union. One that I would say I've talked myself into definitely favouring the home side. Obviously Mainz improved vastly under Bo Henriksen when he came in. He's got a great charismatic character about him. Really looking forward to seeing how he does for a full season. Obviously, Union Berlin, quite the opposite. It was a struggle of a season. It's obviously the Bo derby, isn't it? So yeah, we're looking forward to that. Obviously, Union missing a few players defensively. No Juranovic or Ruslion, I believe. Mainz is forward players again give me confidence to think that they at home as well be able to kickstart a pretty strong game. So I'm gonna say 2-0 home victory for Mainz. What do you reckon to that one, Mark?
I've also gone for a home win. Ironically, this was the first fixture last season as well, but it was in Berlin, and actually Union kicked off with a 4-1 win. And ironically, obviously Mainz at that time were managed by Bo Svensson as well. So there are a lot of the Danish derby, the Bo derby. Obviously, Bo Svensson going back to his former club. So it's thrown up quite a few interesting points, this match. But to be honest, initially I had Union to improve under Svensson, but to say they were disappointing last week in the cup tie is an understatement. I felt as though they were probably the weakest of all the qualifiers in the, obviously only one Bundesliga team got knocked out so far, and that was Bochum. But I felt as though Union barely scraped through in what should have been a relatively easy tie against a Regionalliga side. They look blunt as hell up top. Like, I just don't see where the goals are coming from. And Mainz, on the other side, I'm quite optimistic for them, even though they lost Gruder. Obviously, the fact that they've got Sieb, myself and Peter are really looking forward to seeing him. I think along with Cienza from Heidenheim, they're the two that I'm tipping them up to be the big kind of showcases this season. And I feel as though Mainz will win this. I don't think it'll be 2-0. I'm going to go for a 2-1, but it'll be a relatively comfortable 2-1 for Mainz for me.
Yeah, no problem. Let's stick in 2-1 for argument's sake. Right then, final 3 games of the weekend. We've got our top spiel on Saturday evening. It's going to be Borussia Dortmund taking on Eintracht Frankfurt. This promises to be a really good opening top spiel for me. Both teams looked comfortable enough in their Pokal openers. Obviously, Dortmund will not have the services of Serhou Guirassy just yet. He's still injured, as is Gregor Kobel. So that, I think, really evens things out for me, in terms of this matchup. Dortmund's record at home is obviously really strong, and their record against Frankfurt overall isn't too bad either. So ever so slightly leaning this way, but I'm going to put the pressure back onto you, Mark. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. I think, again, there's a lot of teams that I'm quite optimistic about at the minute. A lot of teams have had good windows, and these are 2 of those clubs, I feel. As you say, Dortmund are missing a couple of players, but I think Pascal Gross is one that we're really going to be looking forward to this season and seeing if he can really tighten up that, midfield alongside Chan. But I feel as though Frankfurt, Ekitike is another one of those that I'm really, really looking forward to this year. I think me and Rory both said it, and he started off with a double in the Pokal against Braunschweig as well. So I really see goals in this. I was even tempted to go for a 3-3, to be honest, in this one. But
yeah.
I'm actually going to go for a 3-2 Dortmund, because I just feel as though, first game of the season at home, I think they will just get the job done. But I can see this being one for goals on your accumulators. But I'm going to go 3-2 to the home side.
Yeah, I find it hard to disagree. And I want to be original and go with a different score, but I do fancy goals. So yeah, we'll lock in 3-2. I think that's a very fair shout, and hopefully it'll be a really good way to start our top spiel set of games. On to Sunday, we have VfL Wolfsburg hosting FC Bayern München. Obviously, the first Bundesliga outing for Vincent Kompany and his new boys. A new look-ish Bayern side, and again, super intrigued by this. How Bayern go under Kompany, of course. They looked comfortable in their opener, and obviously good that the new boy Elise bagged a goal. I'm sure he'll do very well in Bayern colours. And Wolfsburg don't promote confidence especially in their matchups with Bayern. So I'm going to go for an away win, probably tighter than some of the other, certainly say than maybe the Leverkusen match would be. But I would say debating between 2 and 3-1. I can see Wolfsburg keeping it tight, but I see Bayern's quality still shining through. Harry Kane, no doubt, being at the forefront of it all. So I'll talk myself into it and go for more goals. I'll say 3-1. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, Bayern's record on opening days is ridiculous. I mean, they'll be smarting from the fact they're not opening the season as well for the first time in 12 years. So, obviously the champions traditionally open the season on the Friday night in the Bundesliga. So that will hurt them. So they'll definitely be wanting to put on a display in this. I actually think it's a nice fixture to come into. As you said, Rory, they've got a great record against Wolfsburg. I can't ever remember Wolfsburg turning them over since we've been doing this show, and long before that, to be honest. So, yeah, I don't see really that many problems, and I don't see Wolfsburg scoring, to be honest, either.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a very, very routine 2-0, probably with Harry Kane bagging at least one in the game.
Nice. Okay, so we've both gone for a 2-goal victory for Bayern. We'll lock in the 3-1, being optimistic about the goals. And then finally, to finish us off, we have the second of our newcomers for the season, at least. Obviously, St. Pauli have been in the Bundesliga previously, and they're kicking off at home against FC Heidenheim, who have literally just a second won. Obviously, their first leg in the Conference League qualifier against Häcken of Sweden. So that's a really good result for them. A couple of goal for Sir Lord Conte and Cienza, who you've just mentioned, Mark, the Brazilian 25-year-old who's come from Ulm, who got 12 goals and 12 assists last season. So picking off, hopefully, a really good, interesting buy there. And this is one of the 3 that we have already kind of predicted. We put it on socials earlier on today. I went with 1-1, and Mark, you locked in a 2-1 famous opening win for the season for St. Pauli. Yeah. And to be fair, head-to-head wise, it does match up because St. Pauli got a really strong record against Heidenheim in recent seasons. So it does back that up. It does also back up the fact that Heidenheim have just played 90 minutes, in Europe. So they're going to be feeling it early doors, all the travel related because they've been, they're away in Sweden now. So I can kind of agree with the 2-1, but I'll stay with my locked in 1-1. Just talk me through why you think Pauli will get that opening day win.
Yeah, I just feel as though the atmosphere at the Millantor Stadion, I mean, it's famous all over Europe, really, and it's going to be, to say it's going to be rocking as an understatement for this match. I feel as though Pauli know that they're going to have to lock in these kind of home wins in order to stay up this year. And this is a game they'll be targeting against a team that have travelled to the north of Sweden. It's a fair flight back down to Heidenheim. It's probably a good 3-hour flight, I would imagine. They'll have worked hard for that win, excellent win that they managed to get tonight. So to be honest, what I saw of Pauli last week, I mentioned on the highlight show on Monday, that was an exciting match. I mean, on paper, it was a last-minute goal against a Regionalliga team, but I felt as though they played pretty well going forward. And it's a team that nobody really knows what to expect from them. I mean, they're a strange club, and it's a strange team in many ways because they've got a lot of players, in my opinion, that are in the image of the team, really. I think it's Jackson Irvine with his pink hair and all that. Like, it is a special club. It's a unique club. And I feel as though that will be enough to get them over the line. Plus, they do have a little bit of quality as well, as we saw last week. To be honest, so one thing I will say, I'm already being proven a little bit wrong on Heidenheim this season. I mean, I tipped them to go down. I was very, very worried about them, but the start has been excellent, nothing short of excellent. I mean, a very, very comfortable, convincing 4-0 win in the Cup, followed by an away win in Europe as well. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. So they'll be confident coming into it. So I think this is an exciting way to finish the weekend, to be honest. I think it's going to be a good game. And what about you, Rory? Why have you gone for the 1-0?
Well, those exact reasons. I just feel that Heidenheim are no mugs. And yes, there will be a drop-off this season. Of course there will. They've lost their 3 best players, especially attacking wise. They've had to dip into the lower leagues, and so far, we've already seen a couple of goals from new men, which is great. But the Bundesliga is a different type of football, and you have to do it for 34 games as well. So that's where the challenges lie. But I do feel that they're plucky. They're not anyone's necessarily favorite team to in terms of when you're predicting what will happen in a football match. They have an uncanny knack of being able to come back into matches. We saw that last season. The whole reason why they're still in the division, they're in a belief as well, and obviously they had quality in being able to score goals. So I would never write them off, but I would expect them still to be lower down in the malaise of relegation trouble. So that's why I've gone for a 1-1 draw for the opening game. So that rounds us off quite nicely from obviously as it stands league point of view. If we can quickly do this, we'd have Leipzig top of the pile if things were to be as we described, with the top 4 of Leverkusen, Bayern and Hoffenheim on goal difference. And then just jumping down to the bottom of the league, we'd have poor old Bochum, Kiel and Gladbach starting off life a little bit in tricky fashion, with Wolfsburg not too far behind. But that's all good fun. Of course, these are just our honest predictions, and we're just really looking forward to things getting started so we can really get into it on Monday when we review it all, of course. So that brings us to a close. Obviously, there won't be a fantasy show tomorrow morning because obviously we had the fantasy draft Tuesday night. So that covers you for a little while. Me and Marina will be back a week Friday on the Monday morning to do match week 2. So this is your lot for this week, but we're pretty much into normal service now. So Monday will be obviously our review show for match week 1. And then we'll be right into it, obviously week to week until we get obviously the early international break. All there is to say is thank you everyone for tuning in, and I'll quickly hand over to you, Mark, to bring things to a close.
Yeah, so any newbies, obviously we've had quite a few newbies already this season, around about 100 subs just over the first few weeks, which is fantastic. So any newbies watching today, don't forget to turn on your notifications as well so that you can see all of our shows. We will have live vlogs as well, potentially watch-alongs and all kinds of stuff coming your way this season. Don't forget to follow our Twitter and also our Instagram as well. We are trying to build more on Instagram as well. So thankfully, we've seen a lot of you have been following us in recent weeks, which is great. So tell your friends about us. And, we do keep all the updates on there for you guys to see what we're up to and things like that. So thank you very much for joining us today, guys. Don't forget to comment what you think the predictions are going to be as well. Thanks to BBB David as well for giving his fantastic predictions. A lot of similar ones to us as well, it seems, this week. So let's find out how we do on Monday. But See you again Monday evening, guys. Bye-bye.